this is kind of where we're sitting right now. It is very, very preliminary. Obviously, I want to stress that since a bunch of these players have not played a single game yet, this should all be taken with about 8 handfuls of salt. But at the end of the day, what we're looking at, I mean, from what I've seen and from watching a lot of the Holinka tournament, I think we're looking at a pretty strong draft class. In terms of the overall list, I mean, to me, James Haggins is number 1, and there's a couple of guys that might be able to challenge him. I really love Porter Martone. I really like Anton Frondel. Michael Misa is brilliant. Like he's just a brilliant hockey mind. Really, really good player. But I don't know if he's quite got the same level of juice that guys like Haggins, Martone, and Frondel, but he deserves to be in that group that they do. I mean, Porter Martone is a guy who, you know, I've been watching since he was in AAA, and I just feel like he's just such a great build of a modern hockey player, just an all-around, really talented individual. I see a lot of people commenting about Cullen Potter. I mean, granted, I watched the NTDP from last year a good chunk, or at least the U17 from last year. I watched a few games over the course of the summer, and Cullen Potter just always struck me as a guy that looked really freaking good. Super skilled, really clever and creative player. I stuck him there just because I wanted him to be a high priority for me to take a closer look at this year. I've been watching Logan Hensler for a while, and I'm really curious about where his game goes this year. He's a bit on the older side, but he's big and skates really strongly, carries the puck really well, moves the puck really well. Victor Eklund, like his brother, is a lot of fun, high pace, high skill guy. It'll be very interesting to see how he does this year. I don't know. I mean, I imagine he'll crack the men's team for at least a stretch this year. Really fast, really strong. Reports indicate he had a pretty good offseason physically. So we'll see how things go there. Matthew Schaefer, I saw that there's news about him being out with mono for a while. So we'll see what that does. I mean, we're still, 300 days away from the draft. We're almost like 9 months, we're over 9 months out from the draft. So anyway, we'll see how that goes. But then there's, the interesting storyline for this draft to me already is sort of becoming it's going to be an interesting sort of big versus small thing. There's a lot of big guys who I think bring a lot of good traits to the game, and there's a lot of really small guys who bring a lot of really good stuff to the game. So I've got Adam Banak up really high. LJ Mooney is electrifying. Cameron Schmidt, even a Philip Ekberg. He's not small per se, but he's a very high skill guy. But then on the other side of the equation, you've got guys like Lyndon Latkovic, Will Moore. You've got Jackson Smith in there, who's a pretty big boy. Logan Hensler, of course. And there's just going to be some really, really interesting ones. I've been curious about Connor Amico on the U.S. national team. He's been an interesting one that I think a big summer could do him well. But yeah, and then there's just a bunch of guys who are sort of on the smaller end of things who it'll be interesting to see how things shake out. And usually when this happens, there's some decent value to be had later on in the draft. Overall, I think this is a relatively strong class. If you want to see this live and full time, you can give us a subscription over at scouching.ca, where you at the partner level will have live access to my rankings as they change over the year, as well as data tables for all kinds of cool little tools that we've upgraded as well over the offseason. I've built better apps into the website so that it's easier to navigate the data.